Old school RuneScape is a comfort game for a lot of people. New content is often welcome, but that doesn't make it easy to jump over that brain hurdle and start engaging with something new, especially something as comprehensive and vast as the first ever brand new skill. Maybe you've heard that salvaging is the most truly AFK activity in the game, but you just don't know how to do enough of the other sailing content required to get you to a good spot to start doing it. This video will cover how to salvage all the way from Pandemonium to 99 sailing without ever requiring ship combat, Barracuda Trials, or charting, though we will mention when doing those things just a little bit might make a big difference. I think you'll quickly find that the real gates in this skill aren't monsters, they're carpentry. You'll want at least 66 construction by the end, or up to 84 to build the best cargo hold possible. Also, if you're someone who did some sailing content early but stalled out in the mid-levels, this video has chapters embedded for level brackets, so you can just skip all the early game stuff to get to wherever you are in your progression. So why salvaging? Well, every sailing quest in the game at the time of recording is something like 27,500 XP. That's like 1/5% of 99. Charting is another little under 800,000, call it 6%. The other 93% has to come from somewhere, and it sure as hell isn't going to come from ship combat. So if you, like me, don't want to run Barracuda Trials to 99, then the real question is just which wreck you're going to park at and what you need to get there. Out of the gate, go do the quests as they unlock, starting with Pandemonium at the Port Sarim docks. That'll get you a raft and get you out on the water for the first time. You can probably do the first 3, Pandemonium, Prying Times, and Current Affairs, in under an hour if you're reasonably mid-game apart from sailing. All you need for these is a boat. You don't technically need any facilities on them at all. Troubled Tortugas comes a little bit later at 45 sailing, and it's worth doing when you get there. It opens up the Great Conch right next to the best large shipwreck spot in the game. For the Red Reef, you'll need at least 1 cannon, and you'll have to fight ships. It's the only quest that makes you do that, so we can come back to that later. Pandemonium will land you at level 4 sailing. 1,000 or so XP from courier tasks, sail trimming, or charting gets you to 12 for Prying Times, which will bring you to level 14, only 27 XP short of the level 15 that you need to go to Junior Gym, the shipwright at the Pandemonium, and buy a skiff. Your first boat upgrade for 15,000 coins. At this level, you won't be able to build most of the upgrades you want. You can build an iron helm at 17, but I would skip it. If you've done any extra sailing activities and you have a higher level, build the best salvaging hook you can and the best cargo hold you can, and ignore the rest. You won't need an improved hull, helm, or mast until you hit level 30 or 35 for the Temper Tantrum Barracuda Trial and Barracuda Rex. Both of those want an iron helm and an oak mast. To customize your boat, right-click any shipwright, in our case Junior Jim at the Pandemonium, and click Customize Boat. He'll ask which boat you want to customize, and then you'll be teleported to the shipyard. Here, you can board your boat to build facilities, or click on the board at the dock, and you'll be able to customize the actual parts of the boat, like the hull, keel, sails, and so forth. The board will tell you exactly the components you need, and for just about everything, you'll need a hammer and saw. If you don't have the construction level, for a fee, the shipwrights will build parts for you, but only up to Mithril and Mahogany tier. Any higher than that, and you'll have to get the construction level yourself. In general, any sailing construction requirements that require you to use a hammer and a saw are boostable with the Crystal Saw. As you progress, don't break the bank on your skiff. This boat will quickly be outclassed in salvaging by the sloop when you hit 50 sailing, but you'll keep using it for other kinds of tasks, especially Barracuda Trials if you want to do those, so upgrades to the boat itself won't go to waste. Any facility you build on this boat, meaning the things that go in the spots on the deck of the boat rather than the upgrades that are part of the boat itself, can be bottled up and moved around or moved to another boat by purchasing a facility bottle from Shipwright Seb in the shipyard. Head out to open seas just south of the Pandemonium to the small shipwrecks there and try out your new setup, manning the salvaging hook and moving salvage into the cargo hold whenever your inventory fills up. Now, you should build 2 habits while the XP is still small potatoes. Park between 2 wreck spawns in the middle. This won't make you salvage any faster, but it increases the odds that you'll always be parked on top of an active spot. Additionally, always salvage on the salvaging worlds. Those are 596 and 597. Only 4 of the 6 wrecks in an area are up at once, and having at least 1 player on an active wreck makes sure that it cycles faster, so dead spawns come back up. Other players are helping you, they are not competing with you. Your AFK time is determined mainly by your cargo hold size. At larger cargo holds, and with crewmates manning the hooks, you'll quickly exceed 30 minutes of AFK. That's right, you are more likely to be logged out from idle than you are to stop earning XP for any other reason. Welcome to the good life on the open ocean. When you want to sort salvage, take it back to port. Sorting pays XP in its own right, roughly half the hook XP again, so sort everything, always, if you can. There's salvaging stations at most major docks, though you can also talk to your crew at most of those same docks to transfer the entire contents of your cargo hold into the bank for you instantly, just a few steps off the gangplank. If you're like me and build up a good backlog of salvage in the bank this way, you can head to Port Khazard with the fishing trawler minigame teleport for the shortest distance between a bank chest and salvaging station on land to sort it quickly in bulk. Make sure you keep the first of each tier's rare relic, the rusty locket, moldy block, and so on, for Curator Haig at the Varrock Museum. He'll trade the first of each one of those for an XP lamp. Now, head to Catherby Docks and take on current affairs to put you at least 23 sailing, 3 levels short of the next tier of shipwrecks, Fisherman's Shipwrecks. Those are located just south of Catherby next to Witch Haven. Do more small shipwreck salvaging, or try some other content like courier tasks to get the XP that you need to move up to the next tier. It's important to fully ditch your raft by this point. You won't need it again except for a couple of very specific charting tasks later, and your raft can't accommodate crewmates at all. If you decide to do courier tasks, you'll be able to take on a few at a time, and your crewmates will help you carry boxes. At this point, you're cruising with your salvaging hook to 35 sailing when you unlock Barracuda shipwrecks. Most of them sit in the Storm Temper, which is exactly what that Iron Helm and Oakmaster for. If you haven't finished up your Sailor's Amulet from salvaging yet, here's where you're first likely to pull it up. It only rolls while you don't own one, so it's a one-time pickup, and it's arguably one of the best utility teleports in the game. It's cheap to charge with just law and water runes, and you can eventually teleport to Deep Fin Point, which is just as close to a bank chest as the Ring of Dueling, but without ever crumbling away. It also has a range, furnace, anvil, and shipwright just a few tiles away. Let's quickly take a break to touch base about plugins. Salvaging is great on mobile, but some of the other content you'll need to do in order to maximize your salvaging time is not. The Sailing plugin, the one that's literally just called Sailing, will help make a ton of the mechanics of the skill more visually obvious to you. I also recommend the Turning Circles plugin that'll make boat movement a lot more intuitive when you're trying to turn, especially learning to do Barracuda Trials. Those are the only two I really deeply recommend, though there are others that you can install if you like the Port Tasks plugin that can help streamline your sailing experience. Finally, Runelite ships by default with Quest Helper, and Quest Helper has a sea charting feature that can make finishing up your sea charting an absolute breeze. I highly recommend using it. At 30 sailing, you can take on the Temper Tantrum Barracuda Trial. That is a hard 30, trial levels are not boostable. The Temper Tantrum puts you on a skiff without your crew, and requires at least an iron helm and an oak mast, though you'll benefit from building the best hull you can for a higher base speed. The Temper Tantrum is pretty easy to do at the lower levels, and there are some great guides on it that I'll link in the description. It's worth doing, at least to the Shark rank, which is the second level, to get the reward of the Barrel Stand. This will allow you to build a keg on board, which you can fill with sailing drinks to give an unlimited source of active boosts and some passive boosts just for having the keg on your boat. However, if you find yourself frustrated, you can skip it entirely, or come back later with a faster boat. At a boostable 40 sailing, your first crew slot opens. Crewmates have sailing requirements to recruit, and some have quests or other miscellaneous requirements. Run, don't walk to the bar in Port Sarim to pick up Jobless Jim, your first crewmate. Assign him to salvage for you from the sailing panel, and walk away to enjoy your first taste of that sweet, sweet AFK. At 42 sailing, you can head to the Pandemonium and dig just a tile northwest of the palm tree next to the cave to unearth a key, which you can then take to Chinchampa Island southeast of Hosidius to get probably your biggest unlock of the whole grind, the Salvaging Station schematic. Fair warning, that's a hard 42 sailing. Neither docking at Chinchampa nor building the station can be boosted, though you can boost the construction level. With this, you can build a salvaging station on your boat. Now, you can start bringing containers out to sea to prolong your trip. I'm talking log baskets, plank sacks, fish barrel. You'll be sorting salvage and socking items away until your inventory and the cargo hold are both full, so your trips will get longer and longer. At level 50, you'll unlock the sloop, which you can purchase from any shipwright for 200,000 coins.
This is the moneymaker, Big Bertha, the pearl of the sweet blue hole.
Outfit it with the best equipment that you can at the shipyard, and then make a detour to pick up another homie. Assuming you've completed the quest The Tourist Trap, grab your metal key, or the steel key ring if you put it there, and head to the desert mining camp to recruit ex-Captain Syad. Once your second crew slot opens at 55, you have a boat that can accommodate 2 salvaging hooks, and you have 2 guys to man them. Assign them to your crew at the crew registrar, then head out to sea and enjoy the good life. I'm here for the AFK, but if you'd rather have max XP than AFK, you can man one of the hooks yourself and give your best guy the other. At 53 sailing, you'll unlock large shipwrecks. The best spot is south of the Great Conch and the Little Pearl once you've done Troubled Tortugans, and you can get there by charter ship or ferry ring CJQ. Bring a seed box. The coral frags go in there too. A chisel if you want to shuck oysters, a gem bag, not the pouch, a plank sack, and a log basket unless you want to drop any of those items. You can bring a rune pouch and fire or Bryophyta's staff if you want to alch things, and if you have a Ring of Suffering, you could bring level 1 enchant runes to enchant the sapphire rings and then charge the Ring of Suffering with them. At 60 sailing, Jobless Jim can take a rest. With completion of Dragon Slayer 1, grab your Ghost Speak Amulet and go find Cabin Boy Jenkins on Crandor. He's one of the 2 best salvagers in the game. Crewmate salvaging doesn't net the same salvage as if you did it yourself. A crewmate succeeds at 10% of your own rate per deck handiness point. With 4 deck handiness, Cabin Boy Jenkins and Jolly Jim are the 2 best crewmates for salvaging and the only ones who can man a dragon hook. It's also important to note, different salvaging hooks have different deck handiness requirements, just like any other manable boat facility, and it is possible to build a hook that your crew cannot man. Make sure you check your crew before you upgrade your salvaging hook. At 64 sailing, you will unlock pirate shipwrecks, which are just a short jaunt around the side of the Void Knight's outpost, conveniently right next to a minigame teleport to pest control and a dock where your crew can bank your salvage for you. You'll get lots of low-level jewelry here to alch, so you can hang out on the boat for quite a while if you sort and alch while you're on the boat. It's worth bringing a gem bag. At level 73, with an adamant helm to withstand the tangled kelp, you'll arrive at mercenary shipwrecks, which yield martial salvage. One heads up, with adamant and camphor parts like the adamant helm, we're officially past the point where the shipwrights will build anything for you. The construction requirements are boostable, but you'll need to build the helm all by yourself. If you're an Iron Man who's alching, this is the best money from any shipwreck in the game. It's a tremendous source of mithril and adamant swords that you can bring to Giant's Foundry if you'd like, and the occasional rune longsword and facility bottle as well. You can build the bank chest on nearby Sunbleak Isle, where you can also start cutting ironwoods at 80 woodcutting for arguably the best method to 99 woodcutting currently available. But I prefer to sail back to Deepfin Point where I can make my crew empty my cargo hold for me. If you're a main, you might consider at this point purchasing a Bottled Storm from the GE. The regular teleport focus allows you to summon your boat to any dock, and you can build it with just 55 sailing and 49 construction, both boostable. The greater teleport focus, however, built with the Bottled Storm, allows you to teleport yourself to your boat, quickly reaching skilling spots and islands that you would otherwise have to sail to. You could put a greater teleport focus on your big boat, but I prefer to stick it on my small boat and then build a regular teleport focus on my big boat. This allows me to sail my salvage to Deepfin Point, insta-bank it with my crew, teleport to my small boat at Sunbleak Isle, teleport my big boat back to me, and then sail 10 seconds back to the salvaging spot, saving basically 45% of the round trip. For irons, you'll have to wait a little longer until you can go fight the vampire krakens in the northern seas, which requires the Eternal Brazier and a derived requirement of 78 sailing alongside the whole My Arm questline. Plus, they're a pain in the ass. This is strictly optional, but it's really nice to have, especially if you're doing the woodcutting grind on ironwoods. While you're at the shipyard, the hook ladder effectively tops out at the rune hook. 74 sailing, 66 construction, all materials you can gather and build. And that construction is the real hidden requirement of this whole route. Build hooks at your real level. You can technically boost to build facilities, but any facility you build with a boosted sailing level needs that boost active when you use the facility, or when your crew uses it. And I wouldn't say to chase the dragon hook. It needs a rare drop from great white sharks, so you have to do ship combat, or it costs a fortune on the GE for maybe 10% more. For most people, I think Rune is the end game, and you can definitely salvage to 99 on Rune. I absolutely did. At this point, you may also want to do some more of the Barracuda Trials. They're optional, but the shark tier from each of them gives some really nice rewards. The Jubbly Jive's Captured Wind Mote allows access to build the Wind and Gale Catchers, allowing you to store and release speed boosts to get to the bank and back to your salvaging spot faster. The Gwyneth Glide, near Prifddinas, requires completion of Song of the Elves and an adamant keel or better to withstand the Crystal Flecked waters, but the Shark rank gives access to the Crystal Extractor, one of the best sources of sailing XP in the game. All you have to do is click it about once a minute to receive 250 sailing XP, a boost stored in your Windcatcher if you have one, plus a chance at a crystal shard, or 2 crystal shards if you're sailing in the crystal-flecked waters. If you're the sort of person who's salvaging on mobile, tapping this with even low attention over the course of salvaging to 99 can yield tons of XP and thousands of crystal shards with nearly 0 effort, no gauntlet necessary. At 78 sailing, and with completion of Making Friends with My Arm if you're an Iron Man, you can head to the dig spot on Tier of the Soul to unearth a key that can be brought to a lockbox on Buccaneer's Haven. It is a hard 76 sailing to dock there, no boosting. This will grant the Eternal Brazier schematic, allowing you to build an Eternal Brazier to sail in the cold northern oceans. This, in turn, unlocks access to Fremennik Salvage 2 levels later at level 80, as well as access to Frost Dragons once you can dock at Grimstone with 87 sailing. With 85 combat, they are an excellent Slayer task for getting parts to the high-level boat upgrades like Dragon Nails and Dragon Metal Sheets, as well as a faster Cannonball smithing furnace. Once you've docked at Grimstone once, you can return with Fairy Ring DLP. Quick math on whether the Brazier's worth it. It only matters from level 80 to 87 sailing, because at 87, your Adamant Helm reaches Merchant Rex anyway. Call it 4 hours saved. Mains, salts are cheap, just build it. Irons, the salts mean mining them yourself, which means making friends with my arm. If you've done it, or if you're close, go get your salts, because it'll also open up a better merchant salvage spot later. If not, you don't have to run a whole quest line just to save 4 hours. You can skip from mercenary straight to merchant. Now, let's take a break for a segment I like to call Sorting Out Sorting! At this point, it may be worth outfitting your skiff or buying a new one for the purposes of sorting salvage. The bank boat lies just north of Sunbleak Island, and if you position your boat just like this, you can reach the bank boat and your salvaging station from the same tile, making the fastest way to bulk sort in the game. More importantly, however, you've just hit 78 sailing, which means you can complete every single charting task of the captain's log. You don't have to do this. I would consider doing this now. It is nearly 800,000 XP on its own. It took me a day to do virtually every task in one go, and the reward is a drink called the Horizons Lure that you can put in your keg on board to increase all sailing XP gained on board by 2.5%. That's a bonus that you can't get by sorting on land. I would consider putting a keg of Horizons Lure on any boat that has the room for it. The XP boost is great, although you may run out of room if you're running a fully optimized skiff for Barracuda Trials. Let's talk about Fremennik Salvage. Fremennik Salvage isn't very good. And truth be told, like the Brazier, you can skip it entirely if you want, or come back later. There's a lot of fish. It's better XP than Mercenary Salvage, and it does have its own unique relic. Plus, being a source of rare rosewood logs without having the wood cutting or sailing level to cut them yourself, which could be really nice if you pull enough to make a rosewood cargo hold. If you plan to camp here for a while, you can build a chum station to cut the fish into offcuts faster than a knife will allow. The advanced chum stations won't really do you any good, you can just build the cheap one, and offcuts only take up one spot in the cargo hold no matter how big the stack is. It's also worth planting the spirit tree at the Etsateria docks if you have the farming level to do so. It's just a few tiles away from the dock and can be used to go bank and quickly return to your boat. Consider doing the Bear Your Soul mini quest as well, so you can unlock the Soul Bearer, which will allow you to send the ensouled troll heads back to your bank from your boat, extending your trips without dropping that sweet, sweet prayer XP. At 85 sailing, or at 82 if you boost with a Whirlpool surprise, go recruit your other MVP, Jolly Jim, in the Dead Man's Chest Bar in Brimhaven. Whether you skipped Fremi Salvage or tucked into that kettle of fish, at 87 sailing you can head to Merchant Shipwrecks, the highest XP in the game and one of the 2 sources of the coveted Dragon Cannon Barrel. The easiest place to go is Winter's Edge, north of Port Piscarius, but this requires the Eternal Brazier, so, like we said before, if you skipped that, you can head west of Alderaan to Dusk's Maw, or all the way into the southern expanse south of the Isle of Serpents with your Adamant Helm. Neither of these spots are particularly close to a dock where your crew can move salvage to the bank for you, so I recommend getting the Brazier at this point, but if you're stubborn, you can salvage in Dusk's Maw and bank at Alderaan. You'll want to bring an herb sack, a gem pouch, that's the one you craft with silk to hold crushable gems, not the gem bag from the Motherlode mine, a seed box, a ring of wealth, and a lot of patience. The Opulent Salvage table isn't great, but it does yield some decent seeds and herbs. It's a great source of topaz for irons banking Slayer bracelets, and the money that it does offer, it offers as straight up gold and platinum, so there's really not much to alch. Dragon Nails trickle in here too, which is how you end up with a rosewood cargo hold someday without ever actually having to go farm them doing PVM. This is it. Update your sloop to the best you can possibly outfit it in the shipyard. From here, You've got Cabin Boy Jenkins and Jolly Jim manning the hooks, the largest cargo hold you can make, and a pretty easy jaunt up and down the eastern coast of Carend to Port Piscarillas. This content is great on a tablet alongside your work or treadmill, and it's easy to leave on another monitor and occasionally move the mouse to stay unidle until your cargo hold is full. 9 million XP is about 100 hours of the most AFK grind in the game. I hope you enjoyed this guide as much as I enjoyed sailing. As a new dad, around the time that sailing came out, this allowed me to achieve my first 99 since I started playing last August while still taking care of a helpless little baby. If you like this content, let me know in the comments. I made this guide by popular request from my clanmates, but if other people really enjoy it, maybe I'll make more sometime. This video is my love letter to sailing. Thanks for watching.